Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of the Smoke Room. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and you get the newest version earlier, then you can go to Patreon, where it's $3 a month for this and other games. So, in the last Let's Play, we came back to Mr. Hendricks and Nick was like, yep, well, being, familiar with us, at which point Mr. Hendricks seemed to be a little bit cross. But, yeah, we went into the basement where we were going to the ice cream machine, which seemed to have been spoiled or something like that, because there's a bug in the thing, so it wasn't perfectly sealed or something like that. But also, she moved a box out of the way, which had a bunch of photos of the miners. Though it wasn't too up to date because Jack was still in one of the photos. But yeah, it does raise questions about, choices and stuff, because he's got two of these here? Questions than answers. But then, yeah, they had to be going to work with checking all the foodstuffs because, they're busy all of a sudden. And Hendricks left the house. So now we went to the strike, I guess. He said work. Oh yeah, and then there's voices in our heads. My head, at least. So, it takes us less than 5 minutes to reach the quarry. Sorry, I'm just thinking, he says quarry, but I thought it was a mine. Isn't quarry for stone and mine is generally for like minerals and metals and stuff? Because you quarry stone or marble or stuff. Anyways, I'll have to look it up. I'm a geologist, I should know that. The carts are locked down on the tracks. A crowd of what looks like to be at least 1,000 men strong speak, filling the quarry with a low drone of constant chatter. Does he really have 1,000 people? I mean, I would think a couple hundred, but 1,000? Woof. I don't think this is the entire workforce, but it's more than I've seen in any one place together. Justice for Dmitry Povov is written on signs, along with unflattering mugshots of James III and Briggs. Who's Dmitry Popov? Oh, the bear guy. Justice for Jack Abner is written on others. I feel sick again. But in the distance, by the mine entrance, a throng of men stand in front of the entrance. They're armed. There are men with guns standing at the front of the office on top of the hill too. It's hard to find any familiar faces in the crowd. Nook looks out in the distance, then suddenly throws his hand into the air waving. Felipe is waving back in the distance, carrying a sign of Jane Hendricks eating money. Paul is beside him with a sign that says, "Workers put out, bosses just sleep." Well, I'll be. It's about time you two showed your faces. He was beginning to say you wouldn't show, Nick. He's several hours late. I apologize, friends. A lot has happened last night and this morning. Such as? We were invited into the Hendricks residence. What? Stop aching our chains. Nick pulls something out of his pockets. Then he puts it in the hands of the Wolverine. I do not joke about these matters. He and the hare take a look at the photograph. Felipe looks scared. Paul just looks angrier. So, they're stalking folks now? Is that it? Bet they're gonna think twice about singling people out if half the company shows up. We need to talk to Yao. Is he here? Haven't seen him. Me neither. That is troubling. Is it? He's usually on his own, has his own way of doing things, doesn't he? Nick hums and shakes his head. Even so, it's not like him to disappear after something like that happened to Dmitri. I was wondering when a lot of you would show up. I can hear the foreman from behind the group of men who shuffle out of the way. Yeah, it's you. As he comes closer, I'm face to face with his eyes, and he looks like he's barely gotten any sleep in the last few hours. I want the two of you to come with me. Mind if we speak? Why us? Yeah, why them? Because I'm management. And I manage. Any more questions? Yeah, I've got a question. How much of a damn do you give about Dimitri's foot? Beckett scoffs. I give plenty. It could have been any of us. He grouses? Almost wish it had been so we wouldn't be in the mess today. But it wasn't. You know that that man did something to those explosives. Beckett sighs and then hisses. I actually don't. We've been through this. Then how about all the missing men? How many has it been now? 10? 20? Once I know, you'll be the first to know too. I just want to put that there. It's not a typo per se, but it's like when I read this, it's like once I know, comma, you'll be the first to know too. Just saying. Yeah, sure you will. The Wolverine spits on the ground. Anything else? None of us have much to say. Alright then. Why don't you both come with me then? I don't feel comfortable with that. Don't feel comfortable? And why not? I do not wish to unintentionally represent anybody other than myself. And I have to meet with somebody else before. What do you mean? What? You mean Dimitri? I'm not at liberty to say. He sighs, and looks Nick up and down. It's a valuable thing to be able to talk to a man, to talk man to man, without listening to any whispers over your shoulder. There's an old saying, you know? You cut off the head of the snake, and it dies. If you don't think for yourself, then you're just acting like a body part. I think you have a firm misunderstanding of this situation. He tilts his head, and takes a few reptilian blinks. Let me just look back a sec. Okay, he did blink. That so? The whole point of an organization like this is that none of us are the head. So, what's the holdup then? We won't have a useful conversation if I don't know what everybody else thinks. The man who can help me understand does not seem to be here. Okay. We don't have to talk. But if you don't have a conversation with me, then sooner or later, it's probably going to be the boss. What'll it be, fellas? I thought my answer was already clear. Well, honestly, Nick, I don't mind talking to him. Don't, Sam. Let him speak. You're the new man, yeah? Very new, so I have nothing to gain and nothing to hide. Like, I literally worked for 2 days. That's so. Take a walk with me. Let's have a time with it. I turn around to give Nick a look, hoping he'll pick up on what I'm doing, giving him time to look for where Yao's gone to. He looks annoyed, but I think he gets the message. Let me just check my face. And time. Okay. The lizard gives me a look. Up to the management building. There's a conference room where we'll have some privacy. You've got a hard time coming, you know that? How do you figure? Rumor could get out that you're a snitch. To folks like that, if you don't bend down to wipe their ass, then you're an enemy to a whole lot of them. From what they tell me, they say you do the same thing to the bosses. That's so. I couldn't give 2 shits about the bosses. Briggs knows what I'm doing, which is the only reason he keeps me around. He knows what he's doing? Briggs knows I knows what I'm doing. That's a desirable quality in a businessman. They run the company to let me operate all functional like. We all get food on the table and bed to sleep in. They run the company to let me operate all functional like. They fuck it up, the mine folds, and we all ship off to the next town. Fair work for fair pay is the most anybody wants. I don't see anybody disagreeing with that. Folks won't say they disagree with that, but there's always folks who don't want to do their fair share. You mean rich people? Heh. Best not to underestimate greed. The secretary watched us with beady eyes as we walked through the front door. I can hear shouting through the door again. 48 hours? I don't got 48 hours. I have 0 hours, sir. 0 hours. The office is occupied. I can see that. We need the conference room. She swivels in her chair and reaches down to a pair of gold-coated keys hanging on the wall. Would gold be a good one to have? Sorry, I'm gonna have to take... I was gonna say I have to take this call because I saw a call on my phone, but then it just immediately stopped, so it's like, oh, that could be the butt dial. Oops. Anyways, because, you know, situations might be a bit rough here. You never know, unless I actually tell you. But as I was going to say, I think gold-covered keys would be pretty bad, because, like, those things are supposed to rub up against other things, and gold is soft, which is why it's used for jewelry. Then also it doesn't, you know, tinge. Of course, you should still send them over. If you at least care about any quartz quotas being met for the next 6 months. When do we use quartz for? What do they use quartz for? Half an hour, Mr. Moore. Generous today, I see. Is it that we get half an hour in that room? She gives him a thin, forced smile as he opens the door. Okay, yeah, it was a butt dial. The room is sparse, but the voices from the other room don't carry. So, who is the boss talking to? That's none of your business. And I'm asking the questions here, remember? The good woman did say 30 minutes. Best get started? Okay. Were you paid to plant an explosive? What? You kidding me? If you were, we'll double their price if you give us the name and the amount. I think you're confused. Nobody paid me to plant an explosive. Well, at least the ones that aren't supposed to be planted, you know? In the mines. Well, it wasn't one of our guys. A little stunt like that benefits the Workers' Coalition better than the CEOs. And everybody agrees the dynamite was bad. I'm sure the man Ben is behind it. Or that man Ben. Ben's one of ours. You sure about that? The man tried to kill me right in front of you. He's got nothing to gain by making himself look like a lunatic. Then I think he might just be a real lunatic. He's the one who set off that bomb. Or, I would think dynamite would probably be a better word for that. You got a way to prove it? If you did, I could smooth over this entire ordeal. Oh, really? I don't know the first thing about fixing bombs, or how he might have done that. I just know he had a backpack for the moments he went away. That man wants my job. How does it help him to cut the labor in half for God knows how long with a scandal? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. But you're telling me that nobody in power suggested he did it? But you're telling me that nobody in power... Huh. Right? Not without hard evidence. No? Or no? So, what happens if you never get hard evidence? What happens when there's never a consequence when somebody does something wrong, like me? We can't condemn innocent men over emotional impulses. I know the look of a killer. It's on him. And how do you know about that? Shit. Why did I say that? How would I know about that? Go ahead. Tell him. I think you and I both know plenty of ways to end up in that position. True enough. I know what it's like to go to bed hungry. Maybe you might be afraid that you can't take care of your family. Maybe you start to think that you wouldn't mind seeing others go without, if you could make sure your own taken care of. That kind of fear can change a man. I clear my throat. I think I can see what you mean. The reflection of his gaze is almost glowering as he stares through me in the dark. I suspect I could be the most discomforting. It could be as discomforting as the mind to him. I have a bit of a confession to make. Are we getting somewhere now? There's a reason I wanted an opportunity to talk with you today. Oh, really? I met Mr. Hendricks today. He looks irritated now. So what? So she... Oh, Miss Hendricks? Yeah, Miss Hendricks today. So she told me that the Moore family has a knack for, well, knowing things. Oh, him? He leans forward in his chair and shifts his weight on his elbows. Let me tell you a little secret. Anybody who tells you that they have all the answers to unanswerable things about this world, or the next world, or beyond, the truth of all things, and all that other crap, you're lucky if they know 10% of anything. And that holds especially true when applied to the sorts of people who spawn out of my family. Are you talking about your brother? I have a thing who calls himself my brother. But as far as I'm concerned, my brother's dead. Sorry, that wasn't me not being able to read. That was me being like... Because it's like, this town's a bit weird, and it's like... And I know that telling him names, or very much suspects that telling him certain names can drastically influence your ending. It's like, I wonder if he might be a really, 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 really bad guy. Or bad thing. Checking time. Damn it. I keep accidentally touching people's sore spots. Ooh. Unfortunate. He makes a shrugging motion by turning up his claws. And persistent. I've got to ask you this then. Do you think there's anything in those caves that shouldn't be there? Something that has nothing to do with the bosses, the union, the workers? How deep have you been? Level 3. It gets worse the deeper you go. What gets worse? The buzzing. What do you think it is? He looks at me like my brains are made of banana pudding. What did I just say less than a minute ago? I don't know. I call it a curse, or an animal, or a natural occurrence, or visitors from another world, or call it that. I just call it what it is. So, what's that? A problem. How many people know about it? Dunno. Sometimes a lot. Sometimes almost nobody at all. Used to be why I thought it wasn't really real. Till other people started talking about it. Hearing the same weird sounds. Experiencing the same weird dreams. All aiming down into the ground. He looks like he's concentrating hard. Maybe on a memory. Maybe on an ID he has. But he takes another look at me and stumbles out of his chair. He scrambles onto his feet and then forces himself against the wall, scrambling for something behind him, not taking his eyes off me. There's terror in them. And then there's a dull, cold look. He stops panicking. He breathes. He opens the door behind me. That's all, Mr. Ayers. I blink at him, wondering if he expects me not to remark on what just happened. But as I stand, he leaves the room. He slams the keys on the secretary's desk. And he leaves the office without looking back. He gives me a look, as if to ask me what happened with her face. Wait, she gives me a look at what happened with her face, but never vocalizes it. So, neither do I. And I leave the building. But the first thing I hear when I open the door is shots going off. Oh, that would have been a good time to call it, but my hair stands up on my arms. As I get close to the field, I can see another foreman with a pistol pointing skyward, smoke coming from the nozzle. Nobody seems to be on the ground or injured from what I can tell. A wave of relief comes over me, and I see that Nick and the others still stand where I left them. The scene in the front of me hasn't changed much in terms of who's standing and where, and how many people are afoot. But it strikes me strange, I can hear very little sound from a crowd that big. There's a stillness among the crowd, which wasn't there before. What happened? Did somebody get shot? As if they'd dare. They fired warning shots when the crowd got too close to the entrance. Are they going to shoot somebody? I don't think so, Sam. He says that very calmly. But I can't tell if he thinks it's true or not. They do seem to be getting the message, though. There's much more of us than them. So, what did the foreman say to your friend, Nick? Yeah, I want to know what he's telling him. I think there's one thing we talked about that would make them relevant. Nick wants to find Yao. Help us find him? You're avoiding the question or something, boy? Let him explain. Ain't better to talk about these things discreetly? I figured your leader would want to hear about it, too, with his own ears. Dimitri ain't our leader. We ain't got a leader. Haven't you been paying attention? It doesn't matter what Sam calls him. If Sam says he should hear this, then he should. I know where he is. You do? Yeah. He's in bed at the Northside Clinic. Almost had to restrain myself to keep him from coming out today. Once his cast sets, you know he'll be back up here. Yep. Do they allow visits? They let us in, didn't they? That they did. Mind taking us to him? I was gonna insist we do anyhow. This way. They balance their picket signs on their shoulders. They balance their picket signs like soldiers would balance their muskets as they led their way down the dirt road west and downtown. I remember downtown of my old town, which only had 2-story buildings. 'Cause now it's a town of 5,000. It do be like that. I turned my head and muttered to Nick, I'm surprised we didn't see Will at the rally. Who's Will? I would want to, type it in, but it's also would be kind of words like, here's Will, oh, he's a monster or something like that. Though I don't think anybody here just hides as monsters. Just because you didn't see him doesn't mean he wasn't there. Maybe the bird guy? I don't know. When there's workers rising up in arms against the bosses, the law is always close by. Oh, William, duh. God forbid it's the other way around, though. I believe that I would have seen him had he been there. Why is that? Because I'm very tall. Felipe looks behind his shoulder, and Paul spits on the ground. But really, I think that he's keeping his distance until he cannot. What makes you so sure about that? He gets distracted when he's absorbed in the case. I can attest to that as well. Last time we saw him, it seemed like his mind was elsewhere. And where was the last time you saw him? Last night near the mines. Sam. Hey, no, it wasn't like that. He was looking for leads on the man who was found dead. The man that you killed. And you believe that? I think I do, yeah. Then, I've got some powerful ointment I'd love to sell you. Huh? Thanks, but I don't need no medicine, 'cause I ain't sick. The two exchange tired-looking glances. Nick clears his throat. I'm not worried about William Adler. And why is that? Because the sheriff would not want to arrest us if he wanted to. Would not want to or could not? Yeah, would not. That's all you've got? What if he's tailing you? Then I'll catch him doing it. Life's too short to worry about things that have not happened yet. Paul grunts. Felipe faces forward and taps his shoulder with his picket sign, like he wants to pick up the pace. Yeah. It might be a bit short, but I think since this is the scene change, and you don't know how long some of these things can be, that is a good time to call it. We can also look at certain things. Oh, that was someplace else completely. Well, I put a thing in Discord, and it seems like they're going, I don't see it. You know, the part where it's like, the box of photos. No, just keep it on it, and hopefully not get too, what would be the words? Spoiled? Because I don't want to get spoiled. You know? So, and if this Let's Play so comment, because I like comments, sometimes you like, dislike, tips, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like to see it grow, then please like, subscribe, and share the rest of it grow. Please remember to your animals to have control of the pet population. And if you want to play this game, it's available for free on itch.io, but if you want to support the people that make this game and get the newest version earlier, then you can go to Patreon. It's $3 a month. And yeah, until next time, let's say, me, GamerWolfSix of the Smoke Room. So thanks and see you.